Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be going through a tier system. Now on this tier system I've got every single book that I read this year, which is 103 books, and we are going to be going through each and every one of them and ranking them. Now I cannot remember every single book that I read this year, but I remember my top ones, which is a good feat. So we're going to be going through them all, and I'm gonna share with you the ranking system. If you like this video, don't give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because we just hit 1,000 followers, which is incredible. I've been doing YouTube now for about 3 years, so it is incredible to the fact that we have just hit 1,000 followers. So thank you everyone who's joined. I hope that you do enjoy it, and I'm just gonna be going through this video every single book that I read in 2023 and let you guys know what I think. We're gonna have 7 tiers, and the tiers are, I haven't shut up about it all year, which is like top tier books, like the books that I will just be like, oh my god, have you read this, to absolutely anyone. And then top reads of the year, which are like my top reads. I will recommend them and speak about them all the time, but they're not like I cannot shut up about them. Didn't love it but recommend it. So these are for the books that I didn't love but recommend. So like the books that I was like, they're okay, they're good books and I will recommend them to people, but not the books that I'm like top tier. Then not the best, not the worst. So for like the in-between books, you know, like them books that you read when you are just wanting a palate refresher, you know, the kind of books like, just had a 5-star read and I'm really nervous to what to go into. I'm just gonna go for like a mid-level book to try and get thing, or like I've not been reading a lot and I need to get like just something to read, them sort of books. Then I actually forgot I read this, which is any book that I've literally just, it's passed over, it's gone over the brain, I've forgotten I've read it. It's like, yeah, simply not a fave, which is very explanatory. I didn't enjoy it. And then 2023 would be better without. Now any book that I would have DNF'd, or any book I have DNF'd, would have gone in here, but I'm not doing the books I've DNF'd because they didn't make it into the 2023. I read them because I technically didn't read them, I DNF'd them. But like, would I ever read this again? Absolutely not. Have I wasted my time on this book reading it? Absolutely. And that's where them books would have gone.
Taking you in this moment, come get close like you own name. Read your aura, you want more of all this love you.
So let's start. The first book is Pucking Around by Helena Hunt. Now this book, it was, kind of forgot I read it. Like, I'm going to put it in the actually I forgot I read this, because it was an ice hockey book. It was the first book of the year. I had it on Kindle Unlimited, and that's the reason why I read it, because it was on KU. And like, there's a whole series to it and I've just forgotten about it. Like, it was the first book of 2023, which is fair enough, but I just didn't really, I don't remember reading it. I don't really remember anything about it other than it's ice hockey, and that is about it. I have never touched any of her other books since. The next one is Their Vicious Darlings. Now I devoured the first 2, literally, like I was on holiday and I devoured the first 2. I absolutely loved them. But these Vicious Darlings, and like there's a 4th one that's come out, I haven't even touched it. I was so excited about it, but I haven't touched it because I feel like the series, even though they were short, like under 300 page books, they were like just over 200 page books each one. I didn't like it was kind of dragging on. And I remember reading Their Vicious Darlings, but it was just, I'm going to put it in not the best, not the worst, because it wasn't the worst book I've ever read, but it wasn't the best. Like, there was definitely better books, and I haven't carried on the series since reading this, so that says a lot. It's kind of like, it was good but it wasn't great, and I never, it made me not want to carry on the series, so that's why I'm putting that one there. Then King of Wrath. King of Wrath, I actually rated this a 5-star, but since reading more books I don't think I would have rated it a 5-star. So I'm going to put it as didn't love but recommend, because Anna Huang books I devour. I love them. I'm so excited to read King of Greed, and I'm really excited for King of Sloth to come around, but I think the King of Sin series isn't as good as the Twisted series. I think Twisted series is elite for me, and like King of Wrath series is way below that, and that's my personal thoughts. Like, Twisted series and that family, I think the reason is it was a set of girls that it was surrounding around, and it was a set of friendship, and the 4 books about them girls, and then like the guys in their lives. And I think that's why I love that series so much, because it was set around 4 certain people, and you knew what books would come in. Whilst the King of Sin series, it's a bit like, who we're gonna have, like how are these characters entwined into everyone's lives. Whilst you knew with the Twisted series, this is what's coming next, this is the next book kind of situation. So yeah. Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is going in the 2023 would be better without. I have not read a single Tessa Bailey book since this. Now in 2021, in 2023, devoured Tessa Bailey, absolutely loved her. I read this book in the beginning of the year, I got an arc of it, and I read it, and I hated every single thing about it. Now I've kept my Tessa Bailey books that I've got on my shelf because I do want to read them, and like she's got a new book coming out in February which is about golf, and I know she's got an ice hockey one. I don't know when that one's coming out, I need to research, and I am excited to read the sports romance ones. This one was lacking so badly, and then Christmas came around and I got kindly sent me an arc, HarperCollins, of Wrecking the Halls, and I started it and got 40 pages in and just did not want to carry it on, and I DNF'd it. It's going to be in the pile for next year, or I'm going to try and read it at some point, but I started it and was like, what? It's like she's lost her mojo. But I will definitely be reading other Tessa Bailey books to see what I think, but Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey was just, I wish I never read it. Like, I've never rated this book ever 2 stars or below. They've always been like 3 stars. Even if I'm like, it'll still be a 3-star. Because like a 2-star, like for me to have a 2-star read, I must have hated it. And I never give 1 stars out. If it's a 1-star, it means I've DNF'd it. And Secretly Yours was my only ever 2-star I've ever given a book, which can say a lot. Consider Me by Becca Mack. That is going in the, I haven't shut up about it all year. Consider Me, Becca Mack's books, all of Becca Mack's books are some of my favourite books. I have them indie copied and I also have them traditionally published. I am that person. I have multiple copies of her books. They are all next to each other on my shelf and they look beautiful. And Consider Me brought me to Becca Mack. And for that, I love that book forever. And Becca Mack, I don't know, I follow her on Instagram and TikTok, and she follows me back, and the day she followed me back, I was, oh my god, I cried. So I haven't shut up about Consider Me or Becca Mack's books. I'm literally just joined a group chat of people on Bookstagram to try and make some Bookstagram friends, and somebody was like, Ice Hockey Rex, what do you recommend? And I went, Becca Mack's books. Just read Becca Mack's books. And yeah, that's what happened there. City of Sin. I completely forgot I read this until on my Goodreads 2023 like wrapped through. It was like a book that not many people have shelved, and about 68 people have shelved it, and it was City of Sin. And that is because it is by an author who I don't think anyone's really heard of. I found her through somebody I follow had read her. And I was like, I'll give it a go. And it was a decent read. I remember reading it and thinking, this actually is a really interesting concept if it was executed right. It read like a Wattpad, and now Wattpad is my history, and I love Wattpad. And Wattpad written books, I will forever love. But for some reason, just wasn't for me. I never carried on the series, and I completely forgot I read it. Collided by Lauren Asher. I didn't love it, but I recommend it because it's an F1 book, and I will always if anyone asks me what recs they want for F1 books, I will always say Lauren Asher, but that's mainly because I haven't read any more F1 books. I've got them on my shelf to read. I've got one on my Kindle, and I'm picking up one on Wednesday that I bought from the works. But yeah, I always recommend Lauren Asher because I love Lauren Asher's writing, but Collide wasn't for me. I think it's because in my brain I have all of the characters as like Collide that's Pierre Gasly, and he wasn't giving Pierre Gasly vibes, and I think that's my reasoning, because as you can tell, we have a Haigh right here, and he wasn't given the vibe. Can you tell him an F1 fan by these stickers? If you want to know where these stickers are from, these are DR3, and they are from Canada. I bought them on Etsy. They are the same price for shipping as in the UK. Didn't even realise they were from Canada until I got them, and absolutely love them. Anyway, these are over. Satan's Affair. I'm putting it in the actually I forgot I read this pile. There's going to be a lot of I actually think I forgot I read this. It is a novella to Haunted and Hunting Adeline. All I remember is being extremely creeped out, having to put this book down, and then I was like, I need to read it. I'm reading it, and you get to the end, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, you are like, huh? What? And that's all I remember from the book, and I hate it. Well, let me rephrase. I did not hate it. It was too gory, too creepy, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? So, yeah. Things We Never Got Over. This is in my top reads of the year. This is what got me into Lucy Scott. This is one of my 5-star series, but it's not my favourite one from the series. It's my second favourite. But it's Things We Never Got Over. It's what introduced me to the book series. It's what introduced me to Lucy Scott. And it's Grumpy Sunshine. And it is absolutely fantastic. The cheat sheet. It's simply not a fave. I read it. I enjoyed it. I thought about it. And it was like, yeah. It was a meh book. You know, the books that are meh. I would recommend it to you if you wanted a palette cleanser and you wanted a sports romance palette cleanser. The cheat sheet, go for it. Small little thin book. You can get it really cheap in the works. Was it my favourite? No. Did I get it cheap in the works though? Yes, I did, and I'm okay with that. The Sweetest Oblivion. Simply not a fave. Absolutely, simply not a fave. I remember reading it, and I was reading it and I was like, this is Mafia romance. It was not giving. I am a Sophie Lark girl, and if a Mafia romance does not go up to a Sophie Lark standard, not for me. She is the queen. She is what I expect a Mafia romance to be. And I had high expectations because Eden on on TikTok raves about it. Absolutely raves about it. So I was like, I need to read this. I read it. Not for me. Absolutely not for me. The Court of Vampire Queen. It's not the best and it's not the worst. I read, I think it was last year? The year before, 2022, I read Katie Roberts. I was introduced to her by Neon Gods. And I loved Neon Gods, but I think the reason I loved it was because back then I wasn't reading the same books that I read through 2023. And I read The Court of Vampire Queens, and it was basically just pure smut, no plot, did not make sense. There was 3 parts. The first part, great. Second part, what the fuck. Third part, what in the world is going on? Don't know how that ending got there. Don't really know what was going on. Extremely, extremely, extremely confused. And I was like, no, not for me. Not for me. They're Dare. Again, not the best, not the worst. This was a little novella, and I flew through this novella. It was pure smut, and it got me to be. I finished. I was like, I need to read Losers Part 1 and Part 2. Bought them that day on my Kindle. Paid like £7 for both of them. Have them on my Kindle. Have I read them? No, I read this in February. It is almost February now. We are in January the 6th. Technically in my brain that's almost Feb, because Feb is the best month. It's my birthday month. Anywho, and I was like, I need to read these books. I have not read them. They are on my Kindle. My Kindle is currently full of books, but I need to go through and get rid of some. But anywho, it's on there. I've not read it. That's where we're going to go for that one. I need to, but yeah. Final offer. I have done a reading vlog for this, and I remember at the time absolutely loving it. I devoured it in a day. I read it in 24 hours, and I remember giving it 5-star. But I've read so many better books this year, so I didn't love it, but I recommend it. Just because even though it was a 5-star read for me, I did love it, but it's not a top read of the year. And it's not, I haven't shut up about it because I kind of forgot about it until I saw it just now. But if somebody was like, do you have any book series you would recommend? That series is one of them because of the final offer. And like, I've got Love Redesigned and it's on my Kindle and I have it physically because Danny got it for me for Christmas. You can see that in my what I got for Christmas video. But I love that one book and I will recommend the whole series for it, and I'm really excited for the next one. But it's not in the top reads. You know, top reads for me are like top tier books. Set on You. I forgot I read this until I was going through all my photos and I found a photo and I was like, I read that book. And I was at uni and I was like, I read that book. I actually have no idea what this is about. I think it's a curvy fitness girl. I think that's what it's about. I have her Amy Lee book, that's it, book on my shelf, X's and O's, and I don't know why I'm keeping it, but I'm keeping it because I very kindly got gifted it me. So I'm gonna try and give it a go. If I don't like it, I'll DNF it, but if I do, then great. But I kind of completely forgot I read it. So They Are No Saints. This is going in the didn't love but recommend, mainly because the next one in the series. Now, I would recommend people There Are No Saints. It's weird until you get through, you need to get through the first 100 pages, and once you're through that, devoured it. Which is why I didn't love it, like I do with all Sophie Lark's book. That first 100 pages was a struggle. But because of the fact of trying to get through the next one in the series and the duet, and they follow on straight after each other, and because I put them two books in my head together, There Are No Saints I did not love. But I would recommend it to people. If somebody wanted to try Sophie Lark, I would say try There Are No Saints. It's a sinner's duet. You'll have two books. See if you like her writing. If you do, please go into the Brutal Birthright series. Just because the Brutal Birthright series is about is it 5 books? 5 or 6 books? No, it's 6 books. 6 book series. And if you don't like her writing, you would be like, why am I reading the 6 book series? Whilst you've got a duet, you can try it out. And that's the reason I would recommend it. Not because I love it. Bully by Penelope Douglas. It's one of the top reads of the year. Is that mainly because it's Penelope Douglas? Absolutely. But high school, 18 over, by the way, street racing, bully romance, enemies to lovers, next door neighbours. He climbs up a tree to get into a room. Got nothing else to say about that. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Offside. I'm putting it as not the best, not the worst. It almost went into, I actually forgot I read this, because until recently, I couldn't remember I read it. But it's not the best, it's not the worst. Am I going to read Shut Out? Yes, I am, because I want a shorter book. This book, slightly too long for my liking as an ice hockey romance, just because it wasn't as long as it needed to be shorter. But did I enjoy it? Absolutely. Have I recommended it to people? I have. But it's just not the best, not the worst. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, the next one in the series is better. And I've just looked at the time and we're 20 minutes in and we've still got all of these books to do. So, Tanwen we need to speed through. Hunting Adeline, simply not a fave. Simply not a fave. I started reading the next one and didn't like it. I have not thought about it since. And yeah. Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I actually forgot I read that until this video, and that says everything because there's 3 books in the series and I did not want to read it any further. Things We Hide from the Lights. This is the second one in this series, the Knock 'em Out series. I loved it. It was a 5-star, but I think in my brain it's a 4-star because I've taken it down in my brain. I will recommend the whole series to people, not this particular book. I think it was a bit too long. Her books are 500 pages plus for a romance, and I think that's too long, and she could have shortened it down and still got the point across. But you need to read it so you can get to the best book in the absolute series. 1,000 White Kisses, simply not a fave. Didn't enjoy it. Did I cry? Yes. Did I read it in one day? Yes. But not a fave, not a fave. Penelope Douglas, Birthday Girl. I read this on my birthday, well, just after my birthday. My friend gave it to me. I have 2 copies because I also have the American one with bonus content. Pike Watson can have me anytime he wants. Ex-boyfriend's dad's age gap. Absolutely beautiful. Praise by Sarah Kay. Oh, I just moved that. Let's go up again. Thank you. It is simply not the best, but not the worst. I enjoyed it. It was a 3-star read. I haven't wanted to carry on the series since. I haven't wanted to carry on the series since, but I would like to carry it on. So if it's on KU, I will. But other than that, yeah. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Harry Potter is, for me, a reread of comfort. I read this when I was stressed and in uni, and I needed a comfort read, and I read Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I was going through a slump. I was like, what am I going to read? Pick this up, was right as rain. And I will always recommend Harry Potter to people. And let me preface this before people come at me. I've been a Harry Potter fan since I was 6 years old. It is the one thing that can get me to sleep at night, and it has been like that since being about 7 years old. I can fall asleep to Harry Potter like that. I watch the films when I'm ill or when I'm mentally not okay for comfort, and I read the books when I need comfort because they are my comfort reads. Please do not come at me. There we go. Magnolia Parks. 2023 would be better off without it, and I know this is people's 5-star reads. I know it is. This was a 2-star. I wish I would have DNF'd it, but I got all the information I needed to from someone about it. There was a cheating trope, and the cheating trope, as when you find out what the cheating trope was, hit too close to home. I've had that happen to myself, and I wanted to rip the book up into pieces and throw it across the room, and I cried my eyes out about it. So I would have been better off not reading that one. The Bromance Book Club. I actually forgot I read this. From what I remember, it was okay, and it was a really cute idea, but yeah, it was okay. Red, White and Royal Blue, simply not a fave. I hated the long chapters. 50 pages for one chapter? Absolutely not. Any author who does that needs to have themselves sorted out and had a look at, because that is not right. I had to get this book from the library as an audiobook just to even be able to get through it. I love the film though. The film, beautiful. They've got the characters spot on. Book will never reread and would rather forget about it. But it's not the worst book I read in 2023, so yeah. Scarred by Emily McIntyre. Didn't love, but recommend. Hooked has my heart. I haven't read the other 3 yet, but Hook has my heart. Scarred is a Lion King retelling, and I loved it, but it wasn't my absolute fave. Savage Lover. I have not shut up about this book. Sophie Lark, Mafia Romance, Street Racing, beautiful. Neo has my heart and will always have my heart, and I absolutely loved him. Not so meet cute. I actually forgot I read this, and I have it staring at me every time I wake up because it's on the shelf right in front of my bed, and I need to read the other 2 books. Will I? Yes, we can hope, but yes, I actually forgot I read this. To Love, Jason Thorne. Not the best, not the worst. It found my Ella Mays, and I do enjoy Ella Mays books, but her books aren't my favourite. So it was one of them meh books for me. The Deal. Didn't love, but will recommend. The Off-Campus series, I read the whole series, and I can read the books in like 2 days solid. It's not my favourite one in the series, but they created the best child. So if you know, you know. Heartbones. 2023 would be better off without it. Colin Hoover, can't stand her. This was the last ever Colin Hoover book I read. I sold all my other ones. I cannot stand Colin Hoover. She is a great person to read when you're getting into her. I don't think she belongs with all the hype she gets. When I used to work in Waterstones, everyone was like, Colin Hoover, Colin Hoover, Colin Hoover. And I'm like, there is so many better books out there, and I try to recommend people better books, but all of my Waterstones could think about was how well Colin Hoover sold, and literally half of the bookshop table was Colin Hoover. I tried to convince them to put better books on. It did not happen. Did not enjoy. There we go. Sweet Sim. This is a little novella. It's not the best, not the worst. I read this so I could read Promises and Pomegranates. It's an extremely short novella. Dark romance, mafia romance. It's pretty good. A Brush with Love. Simply not my fave. I wish I never read it, but it wasn't that bad to the point where 2023 would have been better without it. It was a meh book. It wasn't for me. There. It's one of them books that you get for £2 or something, and it's just to read, and it's one of those. Promises and Pomegranates. It's not the best, not the worst. I was really looking forward to this series due to all of the TikTok hype. And it's a mafia one, and I think the only mafia book I can actually read is Sophie Lark. I compare everything to Sophie Lark, and it did not live up to expectations, and it was a bit weird. So, not for me. Fallen for the Royal Guard. I very kindly got this book sent to me, and I'm gonna say, simply not the best. Like A Brush of Love, it was okay. I read it because I very kindly got sent it. It was a really interesting one. Really interesting. You can go and see the book talk, like on Book Talk, what she's like. But yeah, not my favourite. There is so many better romance books out there. There was zero spice in it as well. I'm sorry, if I'm reading romance, unless I know it's a YA book, there needs to be spice. And this is in the adult section with zero spice, and I'm like, what's the point? Then, The Newspaper Nanny. I actually forgot I read this. This is a little novella. I know I have the second one on my shelf to read, and I am going to read it soon. But I kind of forgot about it. Flawless. Top reads of the year. Elsie Silver is now one of my favourite authors. She's going to be my must-buy author of this year. I've read every single book that she has brought out, other than the ones that have already been out. I need to read them. I need to buy them and read them. But out of this series, I've read every single one of the books and loved it. Heartless. Same. Top read of the year. This whole series, I think, is going to be in the top read of the year, because anytime anyone's like, what cowboy romance do I need to read? Elsie Silver. What author should I read? Elsie Silver. And that's how that one goes. The Mistake. Not the best, not the worst. It's okay. It's not my favourite one. You'll see which one is my favourite one in a second. Bloody Heart. Not the best, not the worst. This is my least favourite out of the whole series. I love Dante though, but I hate the girl character, and she just wasn't my fave. Get even. 2023 would have been better without it. I don't know where I got up to. My camera just cut off. I think it cuts off after 30 minutes, and I've been filming for 30 minutes. So this is going to be fun to edit because there's going to be very little else in. Anywho, Get Even. 2023 would have been better off without it. Took me 2 weeks to read an under 200 page book. Absolutely not. Vicious. Not the best, not the worst. It's okay, and I'm so excited. I'm reading the series and I'm enjoying the series, but it wasn't my best. Defy. Not the best, not the worst. It's a little novella, and I'm very excited to read the next one in it. The one that follows with these two characters. Very excited for that. But yeah. Powerless. Top read of the year. Ice Hockey Romance, Friends to Lovers. No more I can say on that. Love Wager. This was okay. I read this as part of the tandem like summer romance thing that they were doing, and yeah, good. But not my fave. My fault. Simply not a fave. I read it because I got it on NetGalley, and I know everyone was hyped over it. The film is better. The score. Top read of the year. Top book from the off-campus series, and I absolutely devoured it and absolutely loved it. King of Pride. Not the best, not the worst. I think I gave this one 5 stars, but from my memory it's a bit shit. Lockwood & Co. Not the best, not the worst, and that's to both of the Lockwood & Co books. I want to carry on the series, but you know. Bloody hell, I have 33 notifications from Instagram. Anywho, yeah, not the best. To Hate, Adam Connor. Gonna go in the not the best, not the worst category. It was okay. Sweet Regret. I forgot I read this book. It's an okay book, and I'm excited to read her F1 series. Credence. I didn't love, but I will recommend. I will always recommend Penelope Douglas books, and I have the copy from America coming. But yeah, this was just an okay one. It was an interesting one. The Kiss 3 Thief Simply not a fave. I love LJ Shen books and I'm excited to read more. This one, absolutely not. The Sad Ghost Club. I forgot I read it. I read it in about an hour before work and it's a little graphic novel. Business Not Pleasure. It was an okay book. It wasn't my fave at all. I Will Always Be With You. Not the best, not the worst. I love Monica Murphy books and I'm excited to read more. But, you know, done and dusted. Top read of the year. Cowboy wise, so excited. And I'm so excited to see what she has to come out with, the author, and I'm so excited for her next book. Paint It Red. I actually forgot I read this because it was the last one to read and it took me absolutely freaking ages. Reckless. Again, top read of the year. I loved it. I love all of Elsa Silver's, but Mile High. I will not shut up about this book. I will not shut up about this book. Liz Tom Ford books. Try and get me to shut up about it. I dare you. Broken Vows, Cowboy Romance, and didn't love it, but will recommend. I will always recommend Sophie Lark's book. This is one of the good ones. The Goal. Not the best, not the worst. Just mid. Anna Huang. This little novella. Simply not the best. It's If We Ever Met Again. Kaya was like, this is amazing, and I had high expectations and was just like, okay. The Nanny. I gave this a 5-star, but I now cannot remember what it's about other than an OnlyFans becoming a nanny for the person that she met on OnlyFans and then ignored for a year. I would recommend it, but it's apart from that, yeah. The Legacy. I will recommend it because it is the novellas. But yeah, it's okay. The Right Move. Guess Up There. I have not shut up about it. I've just finished Caught Up and my god, all of the books are beautiful. And Ryan Shea is absolutely amazing. Wonderlust. I forgot I read this. I read this again for one of them readathons with Tandem and yeah, play with me. Get up there. Come on. Come with me. I have not shut up about it. It's another Becca Mac book, of course. The Doctor. Simply not a fave. Actually, 2023 would have been better without it. Tokyo Revengers. Simply not faves. Right, okay. We're on to things that we left behind. Top reads of the year. This is my favourite one in the entire series and it is absolutely amazing. Tokyo Revengers. Simply not a fave. I think I've fallen out of love with manga. The Pumpkin Spice Latte. Not the best. No, the Pumpkin Spice Cap. Not the best, not the worst. It was an okay. It's an okay read. Agatha Christie. I listened to this on audiobook and I completely forgot about it. So, you know. Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is in top reads of the year. I absolutely love this. There is a reading vlog about it if you want to go see it. And I annotated it and it's an amazing book and I will always love Hannah Grace. Tokyo Ghoul. Kind of forgot I read it, the manga, until I did this. The Kiss Curse. Not the best, not the worst. They're really cute little books to read if you want to read them. Book Club is by Emily Henry. Not the best, not the worst. We'll never pick up another Emily Henry book ever again. But it wasn't the worst thing I ever read. Fourth Wing. Now I recommended this on a 6-star book, but I haven't been speaking about it as much as I was the first 2 weeks after I finished reading it. But it's still a top read of the year. Still really enjoyed it. Have not read Iron Flame yet, being too scared to. But it's just a top read of the year. I give it 6 stars when now I would give it like a 4.75. Fall of Ruin and Wrath. Simply not a fave. It was okay. It wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. We'll never read her books ever again. First Down is, I didn't love it, but I will recommend it. Because Grace Riley books I will recommend, I love, but that one just a bit. Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Guess where you're going? And it's not in Didn't Love. It is in top read of the year because this book is absolutely fantastic. Throne of Glass. Simply not a fave. This is very controversial, but I'm actually thinking about DNFing that entire series. It is. I don't think it's for me at all. But yeah, Tokyo Revengers, another one, is going to Simply Not a Fave. Slam Dunk, 2023 would have been better off without it. It took an hour out of my life, but it was my favourite. Spy Family, simply not a fave. It was an okay manga. I just don't think I'm a manga girly. I was for about a month, and that's about it. The Graham Effect is going into top reads of the year. I absolutely devoured this and I loved it, and there will soon be an ice hockey romance one video going out, and that's where that one will be going. Breakaway is in the same category, top read of the year. Oh, actually no, I haven't shut up about it, because I have not shut up about it since I finished it, and that's why that one's going in that one. Fortnite is going into didn't love but will recommend. Yeah, I read it and it was like, okay. And Fire Night is going straight after it as well. In the didn't love but will recommend pile, just because it was okay. Corrupt will still be the top in my thing. Collide, it will go into not the, like, didn't love but will recommend. I am actually going to buy that when it comes out. 'Tis the Season for Revenge, not the best, not the worst. It was a really good, like, Christmas book, but I wouldn't recommend it to people. And Love Like Farm is going in that same category, and so is the Christmas Fix, for all them exact reasons. If you want Christmas reads, they're the Christmas reads to read, but it's not the best, not the worst. That One Night is going into would recommend, because you need to read it for Pucking Around, and Pucking Around is, let me get to it, one of my top reads of the year. I love it. As you can tell, a lot of these are either cowboy romance or ice hockey romance, and there is a reason for that, because they are some of my favourite books. So you need to read that One Night to be able to read Pucking Around, and you will love both of them. Heavy Crown, not the best, not the worst. It's okay. It's one of the worst ones in the series. Cruel King is going into not the best, not the worst, because it's making me want to read the rest of her books, but it's not my favourite book, if you get my gist. And that is the last book in the series. So this is what our list looks like. As you can see, if you're going to take away what books you need to read in 2024, it is Becca Mack books, Sophie Lark books, and Liz Tom Ford books, and Grace Riley books. And that's all you need to know. So that is the list. This entire list is 103 books that I have read this year, and that is what this list looks like, and that is all you need to know. So I hope you did like this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you've read any of these books, or if you're going to read them in 2024. Please do let me know, and I hope to see you next time in one of my next videos. I'm going to try and get a schedule out, and if you want to know what that schedule is, I will post it on my Instagram so that everyone can know. So don't forget to follow my Instagram. It's just tanwen.books, like it is on TikTok, and on here it's just Tanwen Books. So don't forget to check that out, and I'll see you guys next time in the next video.
Come get close like you own name. Read your aura, you want more of all this love, you'll be your name. Release all of your burden.